You are watching NetSoft IT Academy. 905-812-2923. info@netsoftatacademy.com. www.netsoftatacademy.com.
Hey everyone, and welcome to your first video in our Beginner's Guide to Azure series. Today we are diving into our first topic, that is Microsoft Entra ID, which you might recognize by its old name, that was Azure Active Directory. Well, if you're just starting with Azure, or if you're coming from a traditional old school Active Directory background, well, in that case, this Entra topic, that Entra ID topic, will be the most important things to understand. Well, Entra ID is the core of how users, application, and identities are managed and secured in cloud. In short, this is your identity and access management solution. So let's get started. All right, so what is Entra ID? Microsoft Entra ID is Microsoft's cloud-based identity and access management solution, or IAM in short. At a high level, it lets you control who can access what in Azure ecosystem, as well as Microsoft 365, or even third-party application if they are registered with Entra ID. And if you are running a hybrid environment, well, Entra ID can also help you to manage on-prem systems. Now, if you are used to working with the old school Microsoft on-prem Active Directory, in that case, think of Entra ID as a cloud-first evolution of the same solution, that is on-prem Active Directory. But it's not a one-to-one replacement. It's on-prem AD and Entra ID. They both have same objective, but their approach is different. Where traditional AD was built for on-prem environment with things like domain controllers or group policies, those are GPOs. On the other hand, Entra ID is built for the cloud. It is designed to work with SaaS, your PaaS systems, or mobile users, and even the modern security models like zero trust policy. And just to clear up any confusion, if you are used to Azure AD in the past, you're already familiar to Entra ID as well. Microsoft just rebranded Azure AD, Azure Active Directory, to a new name, that is Entra ID, in 2023, I think second quarter, as a part of a broader Entra security product family. So in the future, Microsoft will add more features to this Entra security suite. Now let's go over a few core components of Entra ID. The first one is tenant. Well, a tenant is like your organization's private identity space in Entra. Think about Entra as a bigger product, and tenant is just a private reserved space used by your company in that big Entra ecosystem. Every Microsoft 365 or even Azure subscription is connected to a tenant. At least a company will have one tenant if they have a 365 or Azure environment. The next component is, again, users and groups. Well, users are usually the individual people or even the service accounts. And groups just help you to organize those users into separate groups and assign access more efficiently, assign privilege more efficiently. If you're used to groups in Active Directory, it works much in the same way. The next component is roles and permission. In short, Role-Based Access Control, or RBAC. Well, this is used to define what people can do. So someone could be a global administrator with full access, or maybe just have read-only access to a specific group or a specific resource in Azure ecosystem. There are more features and components in Entra ID, which we will go through when I will show you a quick walkthrough of how Entra ID looks like. Now, let's move into how Entra ID handles authentication and access. Well, the most important component here is called SSO. You must have heard about it. It stands for Single Sign-On, SSO. Now, SSO lets users sign in once and then access multiple applications without needing to log in again and again. Here, Entra ID supports SSO not just for Microsoft services, but also for thousands of other applications connected or at least registered with Entra. The next component for authentication and authorization is MFA. That stands for multi-factor authentication. Here, MFA adds another layer of security. Users need to prove who they are using something they know, like a password, and something they have, like a phone application which will give them a code, a temporary code. Or there are other methods as well. Well, this significantly cut down on the chances of unauthorized access or by someone who at least knows your password. Then the next important component for security is conditional access. Here, the authorization is also given on basis of conditions. So, conditional access is where things get really, really powerful, security-wise at least. It allows you to define rules such as only allow someone access if they are using a secured network or they are in a secure location. If they are in an unsecured location, let's say they are working from home or they're in a different country, then they must use VPN. If they're using VPN, then the access will be granted. Otherwise, they have to provide MFA, another factor of authentication before your systems can trust that person, and so much more. There are so many combinations of conditions you can create. Now, according to those conditions, the access will be granted. And one more point. Even if you have global admin permission or privileges, you're on top of the hierarchy, let's say. Still, if you are not meeting the condition, the rules will also apply on you. So please, when you're tweaking conditions, don't lock yourself out. It is possible that even if you're the owner or you're the global admin, you can create conditions where you will be locked out. All right, so now think about this. Managing identity is not just about access. It's also about keeping things clean and secure over time. So once your authentication authorization cycle is properly configured, you also need to think that how will you manage your environment for a long run when you will have a lot of new clients or a lot of new employees joining in. Well, here are some concepts. The first one is user provisioning and also deprovisioning. Here you can add users manually. It is possible to do it for a few users. Or you can also sync the users from your on-prem Active Directory. If you already have your user in the on-prem Active Directory, you can just sync it all. Or if you are going to create thousands of user accounts, then think about automating the process using a CSV file which you can upload to Azure. If that CSV file is configured properly, Azure will create all the users for you automatically. Now, just as important as creating a user is also deprovisioning it. Here you can deprovision user accounts when they leave. In the same method, you can do it manually, or you can also automate the deprovisioning system, again with a CSV file. Now, the next concept is SSPR. SSPR, that stands for Self-Service Password Reset. Now, this lets your users, your employees, to reset their own password without calling help desk or IT teams. Well, it's super simple, but it makes a big difference for your help desk support team. It will reduce the overhead so that they can focus on something else, which is more important for productivity. Next concept is identity governance. Here, There are multiple governance tools which help you to review and manage access on ongoing basis. You can regularly check it out. For example, you can run a periodic review to make sure people still need access or people still have a complicated password assigned, and so many more conditions here. Governance simply means that you create rules and then you check if everyone is following, everyone are following that rule or not. Basically that. Now let's talk about how Entra ID integrates with another systems. The first one is connecting your Entra ID with on-prem, that is on-premises synchronization with the help of Entra ID Connect. Entra ID Connect is just a name of a software, an agent which you have to install. Think about it as a middleman between your on-prem AD and your Azure Entra ID. So if you're still running a traditional AD in your office, again, no worries. You can sync it with Entra ID using, again, this agent called, it used to be called Azure AD Connect, but now it's Entra ID Connect. Now, this gives you a hybrid identity setup. It bridges your on-prem with your cloud systems. But remember, you cannot sync every component of on-prem AD because on-prem AD and Entra ID, again, have same objective, but their structure, their approach is different. On-prem AD and Entra ID is not one-to-one, I will say, replicas. They are different. So when you are syncing, basically you are syncing user identities, the UPN, user principal name, their password hashes, and let's say the custom groups you created. But you cannot sync GPOs, OUs. No, that will not work on Entra ID. Now, the next combination is application integration. Here, Entra ID works with a huge number of applications. Those are like Microsoft 365 or even third-party applications. Now, you can integrate or register it with Entra ID so that to use those applications, at least the Entra ID will provide you the AAA authorization, authentication, and auditing layer for security purposes. Well, security is a big part of what makes Entra ID so valuable. Entra ID do have many systems and services to provide security layers, like identity protection. Well, this feature uses machine learning to flag any risky sign-ins from the user. For example, if a user logged in from an unusual location or device, well, that activity will be flagged immediately, and then your Entra ID can take actions automatically. And that is your risk-based access. So once a risk is detected due to any activity by the user, Entra ID can take actions automatically without any admin intervention. Now, the action might be requiring an MFA from the user, or blocking the access completely, or maybe just monitoring it for auditing purpose. Well, Entra ID is smart, and it gives you adaptable approach to security instead of one-size-fits-all kind of a policy. No, it's a different approach for different use cases. That is what you can do with Entra ID. Let's quickly touch on Entra Admin Center. This is where you manage everything we talked about today in this episode. So here you can add or remove users, create and manage groups of users, assign roles to them, or set up conditional access policy. You can also integrate applications and monitor activities like sign-ins and risk alerts. We'll dive deeper into these areas in future videos, but just know that this is your main control panel of your Entra ID. This is where you do all the activities. This is what Entra ID dashboard looks like. All right, so now if you want to log into your Azure portal, you can go to this URL, that is portal.azure.com. And then you will use your Microsoft credential. You have to put your credential over here. Then you will click next. Then you have to put your password. And then it might also prompt you that you need to register for MFA, because Microsoft made MFA a compulsion for every account. So you may have to register your phone number, or you may use your Microsoft Authenticator app on your phone. This will be done for the first time. Now, if you don't have any Microsoft account, you can actually create one from scratch. Then you will just follow the prompts, put a unique, not credential, put a unique username and a password. Then it will also ask for some information like phone number, address, phone number, address, your recovery email, and a code to verify that email, and then your account will be created. Once you're in, if you put your credential properly, you will be greeted by Azure's welcome page. Now, when you create your account for the first time, you will not have any subscription. So yes, you need to get a subscription as well, but we will discuss it later in the next video or next episode. Now, once you log in, you will have at least one account in your Entra ID. That will be the account you created, the owner. So where is the Entra ID? That is the equivalent of your on-prem AD. Well, just search for Entra ID and you will get this. Or you can go to the option, then go to all services. Then Entra ID will be in this category, that is identity. Well, this category will have all the other services tailored for identity and access management. Here's your Entra. Now, when you go to your Entra ID, the first thing you will see is the overview page with your name of your organization, then your tenant ID, then primary domain name, the license you have. Right now, I'm using the Education Basic. Then you will get a quick summary of how many users you have in your Active Directory, then how many groups you have, how many applications got registered, and how many devices you have in your domain. Now, even if you search for Azure Active Directory, as you can see, it will take you to Entra ID. So the old name was Azure Active Directory, but now it is called Entra ID. Now, this is your Azure portal, and Entra ID is available in this portal. But you can also log into your Microsoft Entra Admin Center. Your Entra ID over here or your Entra Admin Center separately, both are actually doing the same job. So if you create any user over here, you will see that user from this dashboard as well. So the components are same, the core infrastructure is same, it's just the different dashboards. So you can also log into Microsoft Entra Admin Centers, where again you can see all the users, all groups, devices registered, and app registered. Plus you can create new users here, you can create groups, you can see all the devices in your environment, and so much more. And the same settings and same sub-services you will be able to see here as well. It's just different dashboards. Now, whenever you log in, you will have at least one tenant, and this is your tenant ID. Well, if you want to create more, you can go to your Entra ID, click on Manage Tenant on top, and from here you can add more tenants. Why will you add more tenants? Basically, let's say you have a company and the company have subdomains, and you want to keep all the inner workings of those domains separately. Well, you can create two separate domains or two separate directories or tenants. For example, if your company have two businesses or sub-businesses, one for, let's say, selling e-commerce infrastructure, and the other is for, let's say, recruiting people, means HR business. Well, you can have two separate tenants for it. One for your e-commerce website and one for your recruiting business. Now, when you go to Entra ID, you click on users. This is the first thing you will create, right? So here you can create new users, or you can also invite external users. Let's say you want to hire some people on contract basis, you can actually just invite them in your environment. But what if you have thousands of users? Well, for that, you will go to bulk operations and click on bulk create. This is where you will download a CSV template. This is nothing, it's just a simple template which follows the comma separated value format, that is CSV. You fill this template with all the information, that is the username, UPN, user principal name, password, and all the metadata. You have to do it correctly. Then you upload that template here and you click on submit. And then all those users in the template will be created. Then you have groups. Same process here. If you go to all groups, you can create a single group you want. All right, it can be a security group to which you can assign privilege and permissions, or it can be just a distribution group if you want. So this will be used for distribution, that is Microsoft 365. And if you want to assign privileges, then you will select security group. Then you create a group name, you enter your group description, you can make someone the owner of that group, you can add members in that group while you're creating it, and then you click on create. Now let's talk about RBAC and role and administration. Remember, when you want to assign anyone with privileges, but those privileges will be from your Entra ID, then you will select roles and administrators. Because if you assign these privileges to anyone, that person gets the Entra ID level permissions. So that person will get privilege over the whole environment. And how will you do that? Well, you will go to roles and administrators, then you search for the role you want to assign. Let's say global admin or global reader. You click on it. Over here, you click on add assignments. You search for the name. Let's say this is my name. You select it and you click on add. And this person now have this role assigned. And to remove it, you will go to the same location and just click on remove assignments. But what if you want to assign privileges over a specific scope? Then you can go with RBAC permission. And the RBAC starts from management group, then subscription, then resource group, and then resources. So you can apply RBAC permission at any level. But remember, if you apply RBAC permission, let's say on the top level, that is management point or management group, well, that permission will get inherited to the subscriptions in that management group, plus the resource group in that subscription, and all the resources in the same resource group. It will get inherited downwards. So you can go either to your subscription and click on access control. This is where you configure your RBAC permissions. You click on access control, then you click on add role assignment. And here you search for permission. Let's say I want to give reader permission. So I click on it, click next, select member. Let's say I select this member and you click on select. Now this reader role is assigned to this user, and then you review and assign. Once you do that, this person will get this privilege and can perform the task. Now, if you go to management point, or management group, sorry, again, you can create more management groups here. Let's say I create a management group called demo. Display name will be same as well. Click submit. A new management group will be created. And then I can assign new subscription to this management group. Now, I created this management group, so I do have permission over it. So if I click on it, as you can see, I can start my RBAC permission from this level. So this is the highest scope. So if I apply any permission over here, it will get inherited to all the subscription under this management group, and then all the resource group, and then all the resources. Now I don't want this management group. I can always just delete it. Perfect. So it will be deleted automatically. Now the next point was that when I logged in to my portal, I used my credential. Well, I will use the same credential to log into my Microsoft Entra Admin Center. I will use the same credential to log into my, let's say, Intune portal. Let's say I want to log into Intune. Let's do that. And it will automatically fetch my credential because it is saved as I am logged into Microsoft Azure as well as Entra Admin Centers. So with the same credential, now I'm logged into Intune. As you can see on top, RIVANITA. Same for this one, and same for this one. So that shows you the advantage of SSO, single sign-on. Using same credential, I can log into many cloud services. The only point is that cloud services must be in the ecosystem of Microsoft Azure. Now, if you go to your Entra ID again and click on Users, on top, if you go to this menu and click on Per User MFA, this is where you can enable or disable the MFA requirement on a specific user, or you can do it for everyone. Let's say I click on My Account. Here I can enable MFA. Now multi-factor authentication is enabled. If you don't see the status change, just refresh the page or go back and forth. Here, for me now the MFA is enforced. Well, I can also change user MFA settings. That is, require selected user to provide contact methods again. So maybe you want this user to revalidate the contact information or delete all existing app passwords generated by the selected user. So the user will have to start from scratch, generate new passwords, re-authenticate, provide the credentials again, provide the contact information again. Or you can say restore multi-factor authentication on all remembered devices. So if you want to restore it. And if you want to disable it on this account, just click on Disable. And then you have service settings as well. So this is where you can tailor user-based MFA. But now let's say if you have the premium license of Entra ID, then you can go in Manage and scroll down to Security. Then under Manage, you will also get multi-factor authentication from where you can change the configuration and settings. But remember, you need premium trial or premium license for this one, at least P1. If you have P2, even better. And same thing goes for conditional access. If you go to Security and click on Conditional Access, this is where the magic happens. This is where you create conditions. So if you go to manage, here you can create your conditions, and according to those conditions, the access will be granted. So if I go to policy, click on new policy, and just say demo policy, then you will assign which user will actually face this condition. So I will say like selected user. I'm just giving you an example. Click on user. Let me do it on myself. Okay. Now, what will be the target resources? So what do you want to protect? Well, I want to protect all cloud resources, like all cloud applications, whether it is Admin Center, 365, Azure, Intune, doesn't matter, or AVD, it doesn't matter. Or if you want to select a particular resource, you can also do that. So click here, and let's say I want Azure Virtual Desktop. So this condition will only apply on Azure Virtual Desktop. So if the conditions are not right, I cannot access AVD, but I can access everything else. So here you can pinpoint your resource. You can also do it on Office 365 if you want. But remember, if you select all resources and over here you selected all users, then everyone will get affected immediately. So be careful, don't lock yourself out. Then you create your conditions. So basically, here are some network conditions which you can include and exclude. If you say, yes, I want to configure it. Here you can mention that, okay, these are the trusted networks from which the access should be granted. Otherwise, please don't grant the access. Now, as you can see, the condition itself is grayed out. You cannot select it because, again, you need premium license for it. So once you get a premium license, this feature will be unlocked and you can create the conditions. And then you enable this policy and the users have to meet the condition if they want to access the particular resource. I'm gonna close it. Now I'll tell you how to get the license. So if you go back to your Entra ID and scroll down, you will see an option called licenses. And then all products. You will go to all products and you will see that now adding, removing, or even doing any configuration on license, all those tasks are now moved to M365 Admin Center. So you have to go to M365 Admin Center. Previously, it was possible to change licenses on Azure portal itself, but now you will do it from 365 Admin Center. Then you will go to your billing, then click on Purchase Services. And then you will search for the product you need. So if I just say P2, that is your premium license. And somewhere you will find your Entra ID P2 license. Or let me just refine the search. Entra P2. Here. Microsoft Entra ID P2 for students or for students trial. You can get a trial as well. So if you like a license, just click on details and then you click on start free trial. If you have used the free trial already, then you have to select the pay-as-you-go version of it. So once you have this license, all those features will be unlocked for you. Now, the self-service password reset, yet another feature provided by Entra ID. So where will you go for that? Well, you will scroll up to Users and then click on Password Reset. This is where you enable or you disable self-service password reset on a particular scope. So if I select all, then this permission or this feature will be available for every user. If I say selected, then you can select a particular group of users on which this feature will be enabled, and they can reset their own password. Let's say I say everyone and click on save. Then you can configure authentication method. Number of methods required to reset, you can provide even 1 or 2. If you say 1, then they need to provide only one extra authentication method to reset their password. Then these are all the options through which they will select at least one method they prefer. Here you can also change the number of days after which they have to re-register, means give the information again. Their contact method, they need to register for self-service password reset again. Here you can decide if you want to send the notification to users or not regarding the password. Well, it is a good idea that at least you should get the notification if any admin changed their password. Here you can customize your link. When you say, I forgot my password, and at the bottom you can also mention a link. And this link can be the connection to the help desk website of your company, or maybe FAQs, or whatever information you want to provide to the user. Here you can see if it is integrated with on-premises or not. This means that there is on-prem AD somewhere and you have used your Entra ID Connect agent. This is a sync agent to synchronize your on-prem AD with Entra ID. And on this sync agent, password write back option is also selected. That means if the password got changed on the Azure side, that password will be written back to your on-prem AD. If it is changed on on-prem AD side, it already gets synced to Azure. So this is your self-service password reset. Now, let's talk about your AD Connect or Entra ID Connect. So again, you will go to Entra ID. You scroll down and you will find this option that is Microsoft Entra Connect. Now here you have two methods, Cloud Sync or Connect Sync. Well, this is your Entra ID Connect, that is Connect Sync. And if you don't have the latest version of their software, you can also download the latest Entra Connect Sync version from here. Please don't download this from third-party websites. Do it from here. This will have no malware in it. In my case, it is already enabled and it got synced. If you have never enabled it, over here it will say never ran the sync. So it means that you never ran any synchronization from this agent. Now the new method is Cloud Sync. Over here as well, you actually connect your on-prem AD with your cloud, so synchronize the account. Now this one is a pretty lightweight compared to Entra ID Connect. And with the Cloud Sync agent, you can also sync Microsoft Entra ID to AD as well, on-prem AD. But for that, you need proper privileges, at least P1 license. And if you want to register applications, again, you will go to Entra ID. And you will find app registration. This is where you register your application. So you click on new registration, you provide the name, let's say demo app. Then you select your scenario, accounts in this organization directory only. Means only the users in this directory can access this app. Or you can say account in any organizational directory. That is your multi-tenant environment, if you have multiple tenants. If you also want to include your Skype or Xbox Cloud accounts, or Xbox account, you can also select this one. Or if you want to involve your personal Microsoft account only. In most cases, the first option will be selected. And then you can also put your redirect URL over here. That is optional. So once you register, then you will get all the metadata you need to bake into your application, so that when anyone access that particular application, first the application redirect the user to Entra ID, the user provide the credential, Entra ID check the credential, and then if it is correct, it will redirect the user to the actual application. So this is where Entra ID is providing IAM, Identity Access Management Solution. Plus, if you go back to security and under conditional access, under protect, you will see that even identity can be protected by Entra ID. So it offers identity protection. Over here, you create conditional access. You also create a policy for user risk and sign-in risk. And according to the user risk and sign-in risk level, the policy will be triggered. Now, this was just a simple brief of Entra ID. Entra ID do have many more features baked into it. Remember, once you have your Azure account, it will take some time for you to understand every component and how it integrates with each other. But with practice, you will know more. And when you will know more components and how they work with each other, you can create more complex architecture. All right, so that's our introduction to Microsoft Entra ID. You now have a solid understanding of what it is, how it compares with traditional Active Directory, and how it plays a crucial role in identity and access management, especially in cloud. In our next video, we'll move to Azure subscriptions, how they are structured, how they impact the billing process, and how they tie into access control. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe to our channel, and drop any question if you have in the comment section. See you in the next one. Take care.
Thank you for watching NetSoft IT Academy. 905-812-2923. Info@netsoftatacademy.com. www.netsoftatacademy.com.